Ernie Hudson, as always, it's an honor and privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's great, always great to talk to you, and happy to be here.
Absolutely. I always feel like when you're involved with something that is a spin-off or something that is based on something that previously existed, you're always in a unique kind of situation because there's unfamiliar territory and familiar territory at the same time. Did it feel like that with Boston Blue a little bit?
Yeah, it did. I mean, I'd watched the show, and Blue Bloods, and it was so set. So when they said, "Well, we're moving to Boston, there's going to be this new show, and it's kind of a police procedural." I know it had a strong family component, but I'm like, well, I'm not a policeman, so how exactly do I fit in this? And so it was a little unclear when I signed on. It's just how this is going to work. But we're into about 8 episodes now, and I get it, and I love it. But coming into it, it was because you did have those other characters, and I guess you're going to draw a lot from that same audience. But I think this is a little bit it's different enough to be uniquely its own, but it does have throwbacks to Blue Bloods.
We're also in an age where there's different ways we watch things. They drop them all at once, and then there's the, of course, traditional week-to-week drop like Boston Blue.
Right.
I'm wondering if you think about that when you're making it, where you're on a show that people have to wait episode like week to week for the reveals and stuff. Does that come into mind at all when you're making it?
Well, you don't think about all the how it's going to be seen, or once you sort of commit to it. I mean, but I'm an actor, so we just play a small part in the whole production. You got people scheduling and producing and the crew and all that stuff. So there's so many things I have no control over. Even sometimes with the performance, because you got people who are recording different takes and they choose the one to use. They don't ask me my opinion. But so I don't really think about it, but I do know it's a different time now. And like you said, of course, the shows now they air on network TV and then they stream, later on. So after a few weeks, it builds up. And so I've watched shows where I've waited a few weeks so I can kind of binge watch a bit. However, it's great to have the option, however you want to do it. But in terms of the work, it's just you just go out, get up, do your stuff, and hopefully everybody else will do their stuff, and and hopefully it'll be something that people will want to watch. You can never, honestly, it's
it's in your hands and it's out of your hands when it's out.
It's out of your hands, yeah. I mean, I come up, it's working in the kitchen, and I just do this section. I just cook this, but it's a whole meal being prepared, and you hope the rest of the meal is going to be as good as what you're doing.
Absolutely. I feel like there's always going to be similarities, like, set to set, but there's also going to be difference. Is there anything exclusive about working on this show, Boston Blue, that was a bit kind of different or new compared to past things you do? You mentioned a little bit of the cop procedural, but anything else specifically?
Well, I think, it's kind of a mixture of religious beliefs and ideas. This family, I think in Blue Bloods, the family was Irish Catholic, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so they would have their meetings around the dinner table. And of course, it was kind of a mixture of their kind of belief system into how they go about doing what they do. In this case, I'm a Baptist minister from a tradition of Baptist ministers. And I'm the pastor of the largest African-American church in the country, one of the largest. And so he's very set in his ways. But my daughter, who's played by Gloria Rubin, she's a DA who married a Jewish guy, and she converted. So that and the grandkids, they're all Jewish. So they have that traditional. And then, Donnie Wahlberg's character, they're Catholic, and so we're all at the dinner table, and so a little bit of that is kind of a different take, a different way. It's not so much different because I think at the end of the day there are those commonalities, but there's a little bit different approach, different thoughts as to how we go about doing. We see the policemen, we know, or we think we know what they have to do to be effective on their job, but then what they bring into their job makes a big difference. And what I loved about this show, what's different is you get the community perspective a little more because I'm very much a community organizer. I'm very much involved in the community,
Yep.
and so I'm happy to be able to bring that element into it.
Absolutely. I'm curious if you ever think about these things because I'm also a creative and a filmmaker myself, and I feel like it all started for us very similar. Everyone that gets into TV and film and storytelling, we watch certain TV shows or films, and at some point we were like, I want to do this, right? Like, this is something I
Right.
want to do. Do you
Yeah.
feel like you watch things differently now that you know how it's made? Do you ever think about that at all?
I think when I started out, because I was and I started out almost 60 years ago, so it's been a little while. But and I think because I was, it was kind of wanting to separate things so I can see how the pieces sort of fit and how, just how it sort of cooked. And then you reach a point or I reach a point where I kind of go, I don't want to see all their things. I don't want to think about it. I want to, because we do tell these stories, and my job is to tell this part of the story and make it believable,
Mhm.
make this character believable. So I want to be able to watch and have fun believing and forget that, And so sometimes I'll be with my wife and she'll say, "Oh my God, you see that?" She'll point out some technical thing that was wrong, and I'm like, I don't want to see that. I want to be a kid again and enjoy movies and television the way I did I want to be able to get into that. Now,
Yeah.
sometimes if things are done so badly, you have to go, what the hell?
Mhm.
And, but you hope, or I hope when I watch a movie, I'm just looking at it from just a pure audience point of view.
Yeah.
And try not to look at, certainly with the actors, try not to, analyze or be critical or
Oh, yeah.
judgmental or whatever. It just I at this stage of my life just want the imagination and the true story.
Yeah.
But like you said, I think now if you go back 50 years ago, I was much more critical and
Mhm.
comparing and why did they do this? They could have done that. They should have better shot.
Mhm.
The actor, I didn't believe him. He should have done this. I don't believe that. Why are they paired
Yeah.
together? I don't.
I
I
see the
try
other
not to do.
I see the other side of things too, where I like, I'm a '90s kid, right? So at some point, when I was about 13, the PG-13, I went crazy with the horror movies, right? I was able to go see, so I went to go see them all, and I always think of like, what would have been like, what it like looking at those films now that I'm kind of making horror films compared to
Right.
it's very interesting. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, totally. It's and especially if you like a certain genre,
Yeah.
and you see it when it's done really well, and you don't have to try. You just lose yourself in it. And at times when you want to lose yourself, but it's
Mhm.
so technically inept, you just can't, or you realize that sometimes I'm amazed at what people can do with a low budget,
Yes.
and I'm
Horror
amazed at what
movies too
they,
is a big one for that too,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
and what they don't do when they got all the money in the world. You kind of go, my God, man, this should have been, So, yeah, but I try to not just with movies or TV and everything in life. I want to be as open and as receptive as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And life is challenging. It's not always easy, but
Oh, yeah.
I want to believe, that it's I want to believe. So unless people give me a reason not to, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of reasons they're trying very hard to make me not believe, but I want to still believe in
Mhm.
we're making a wonderful life experience here.
Yeah. We'll get back to Boston Blue, but it's spooky season. We can't do a pop turn of spooky season interview without talking a little bit about Ghostbusters. And
Yeah,
I thought about this a little bit because we talked about Ghostbusters last two times you were on the show, but
right.
I feel like it's such an iconic big universe and big brand Ghostbusters that it
Right.
is one of those, especially now, like September, October, fall and spooky season, there's a very good chance that you'd be just kind of walking down the street. Oh my God, I didn't do that. I didn't do that on purpose. I swear I didn't do that on purpose. But like, no, like you go to a coffee shop or something, there is a good chance someone might have a Ghostbuster shirt on. Like it's that big
Oh,
of a brand. Do you think about that at all?
oh yeah, no, man. I won't say every day, but
Yeah.
pretty close to every day. If I'm out and about, just my wife and I, we're filming in Toronto, so we do a lot of walking around the
Yeah.
city. I will always see somebody in a Ghostbuster T-shirt, some car with some semblance of an ectomobile, or just something, or somebody will yell, "Who you gonna call?" Or,
Yeah.
"Hey, Ernie, yeah, I grew up watching you, man. You're Winston," or something. It's so much a part of our, you know, of our world,
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's always there on the the crew. I'm working with the crew members, and they've been doing it a long time, but they know I'm on the show, so they'll bring in their little toys, or their kids, or they'll wear stuff to say Ernie, it's like to and I know a lot of it is just out of just respect and appreciation for what the movie meant to them.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah.
I just love the expansion of all the content. We talked about it last time, but the merch and the music videos and like the spin-offs and the video games. That's like, that to me excites me when a world just has endless possibilities. And I feel like
Yeah.
Ghostbusters is that world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and I think I'm hoping that because I know they're constantly looking at ways to expand that so-called universe, but I mean now it's like that's they can hyper take it into whole other areas that um I know we want to be true to the original one, but now there's a lot going on. Things have changed. Our views, the world view has changed a bit, and so I think Ghostbusters could easily step into um, a more current, view.
Yeah, it's just
Perspective.
they're so much fun, and even like the original ones, it's funny because they're fun, they're goofy, but they're a bit creepy and scary, and it's funny because it's like I think about that a lot too. Like, there's always moments in the Ghostbuster films, and then the recent ones that came out as well, where like they do have those like really spooky, freaky moments. Like and I think that's like what I love about it. But like, cause I remember like, you hear the song and it's like goofy and it's fun, right? And there's comedy with Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, but it's like
Yeah,
the undertone is a bit freaky. It's about
yeah,
ghosts and
right.
ghouls, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah, yeah. No, that I think there were movies before, but they were so silly,
yeah.
or they were so scary you couldn't really laugh at them.
Mhm.
But I think our bravery, we're taking them on, and we're still guys who can look, this evil in the eye and still crack a joke, and still the
Yeah.
confidence, the swagger,
Oh,
but it's still real and still scary. But what makes it is that mix of was a sugar and salt, that that mixture of humor and
mhm.
fear
Mhm.
that makes it something kind of unique. And
Yeah.
especially that first movie for me,
Oh
for a
yeah.
lot of people, the second movie, because I think a lot of kids were introduced to the second movie first. But it's wonderful how you go from just being scared to laughing
And it's funny too because Rick Moranis, like, it's funny when you have certain actors that just have done so many different things, but it's like I
right.
just always remember Rick Moranis from Ghostbusters. And no, he's done so many other amazing things. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
it's just that
yeah,
role just stays with me forever.
yeah. No, he definitely and he represented a certain type too. I mean, that guy who we
Yeah,
all kind of know, but he's very, very sincere, very from the heart, very funny,
yeah,
and Rick he was just perfect. I'm sorry they weren't able to get him to come back.
yeah,
But I'm sure he has reasons for not.
yeah.
But I missed that character and all the
Oh,
other iterations. He was,
so funny.
he is just. But then I think he kind of walked away from acting in
Yeah.
general.
No,
So,
absolutely. It's funny
um,
too because I usually do puns, Ernie, and I swear I just want to go back that whole maybe when you're walking down, that was not intentional at all. That was hilarious.
oh,
That worked out perfectly, but that was not intentional. I'd be the first person to be like, see what I did there? Like, I've done it before. You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
right,
when I'm talking about like vampire shows with people, I say like, did it have a bite to it? Or like,
right.
is it like, you know what I mean? But I did. The last question about Boston Blue. You are part we've established you enjoy being part of these big worlds, these worlds that existed before. You did the TV show Quantum Leap as well. Like, these are
Yeah,
worlds that people know about. I'm just
right,
curious specifically with being part of this drama with Boston Blue, so to speak. Are you
right.
ever conscious of the audience member like watching a show like this, thinking about a show? Like, I know you talked in the beginning about acting, is like you focus on acting, but
Right,
like there's gonna be a lot of conversations about this world and how this world's expanding, right?
right,
And there's
right.
gonna be all these kind of, dinner table conversations about what happens episode to episode. Do you ever think, like, when do you start thinking about that stuff, so to speak?
Yeah, well, I think I know that it's almost like there's a precedent that's been laid down, and so I know we have to measure. It's not like you can come in and do anything you want, and it's judged solely on its own
Mhm.
because you have to step up to a certain level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't just step into something like this and just be, they've Quantum Leap. You've already established a standard that people love the show, so
Yeah.
you've got to come in with something original, something new, but something worth watching. Otherwise, we'll just stick with the old thing. And
Yeah.
so I'm always aware of it, but I'm also aware of the people I'm working with, and I know they're sort of bringing their best to, and but and this show, it's an incredible cast and crew. I
Mhm.
mean, really, really good. And I know I'd probably say that almost about any show that I'm working on, but this especially, they're very, very good and very, you know, I don't want to say well intentioned, but really, really working hard to bring something
Yeah.
that's honoring it, but yet something that's unique on its own. So,
Yeah. I
and
can't
then
wait.
Quantum Leap was the same thing. It took a while, with Quantum Leap, I think Scott Bakula, if he had um, somehow blessed it with an appearance, I think would have legitimized it more. But it took us a couple seasons to finally find how to our way there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't last more than a couple years, but I think in time we would have gotten there. But I think this one is it's gonna stand on its own pretty well.
Can't
It's
wait for
good.
people to check it out on CBS, Boston Blue. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really excited. Ernie, as always, it's an honor and privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much for taking some time. I really appreciate it.
Oh man, I appreciate you. It's great to talk to you as well. Also, I want to mention people. I have a show called Family Business. It's going to
Yes.
premiere on October 23rd. It's a lot of fun in a different way. I play a mob boss who kills people. No, it's a whole different kind of psyche, but Boston Blue is
Yeah.
special.
You
And
can't really think about that too, right? About the timing of things, right? Like you just go and do your thing, you rap, and it's like boom, you have two shows coming out at the same time. Like you can't really
yeah,
think about that much,
yeah,
right?
no. Yes, I've said as much as you can let go of everything and just not only just show up here, but show up in character in this story with all the things going around, but you try to let all that go,
Mhm.
because if you got all that stuff, I'm doing this because I want this to happen. I want this scene and I want this and I want people to think about that. And then it's just, I know actors work that way. I can't work that way. I just want to,
Yeah.
acting is believing. So I want to believe I'm in this scene. So whatever happens when they show it, all that,
Mhm.
it just happens that sometimes two or three things will be happening, simultaneously, but that's all out of my control.
I fibbed. I'm gonna ask you one more question about family business. It's a very tension driven drama as well with the family dynamics and everything. Is
Yeah.
there a specific preparation for those type of scenes where it's just kind of just straight up like not screaming at each other, but like
Yeah.
just tension and like staring at people and like you're gonna get it like if you don't do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. It is, intense. You go into those, and it's also working with a group of actors who really, really are determined to bring. So you always got to match that, and so there's a certain level that I can't ease into it. Sort of, let me figure this out. I'm playing a minister now. He's a sort of the moral, fiber there that so it's a little easier. We're trying to find, so we're coming at it different with family business. It's like and this, and my son has done this, and what do you mean you killed the girl, and oh, what do you mean so it's a little bit uh different, and I've never done the show quite like that, but it's a little bit one-on-one intense. Somebody's about to do something that's going to destroy the whole thing, and we got to control that. And it's a lot of fun from that perspective, but it's sometimes way there, and I kind of go, okay, we got to go here. But on the other hand, I have to go to that place and match this because you're doing awful things and dangerous things, and this is my wife. It's not just I'm in a marriage, but now she's about to leave me and kill the kids. I don't know, or something. Not kill the kids, but it's a different. And I enjoy all of it. So fun.
Absolutely. There's a lot of there's Boston Blue, the family business.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters is going to be
and Toy Story, the new Toy Story.
Toy Story, oh my goodness, so many projects. Congratulations on everything, and
Thank you.
And again, honor, privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time again.
And I appreciate talking to you, man. Take care. Good luck with everything. All right.
Thank you. Well, this has been Pop Turnative, youtube.com/PopTurnative previous episodes. Until next time, this is Ernie Hudson and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Turnative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Turnative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.